All right, here we go. We are live, and we will do our traditional sharing of the streams while we chat for a few moments here. So hopefully you've all had a wonderful week, and you're working hard and ready to learn something fun about video today. And we got something I think that's pretty darn fun, if I do say so myself, which I did say so myself. So
you did.
I did. So I'm going to share this out to a few little groupy groups here. So let me copy and paste this. You know, I've really got to, we had, things have changed, obviously, with the groups we share to and whatnot, and the way Facebook does it. And but we used to share automatically using,
what was that?
Oh, gosh, what was it called?
I used to, too, for a while.
Yeah, well, and it ran for years without touching it and everything. And I don't think it, I think I have to go in and like update everything on it, but Live Leap, and so it doesn't share automatically now. So we got to go in and do it at the start of this. It used to, with Live Leap, when you, as soon as you go live, it grabs that live stream and shares it out to everybody that you told it to. But of course, if it did that right now, it wouldn't share it to all the places that I want to. So I really need to go in there and see what up with that.
They probably changed the API, Facebook did.
Yeah, no, I'm guaranteed they have, and plus we've got different groups that we share to now. So there's a lot of things we'd need to go in and do to fix that up, but we'll get that done. Sure. No doubt about it. All right. So with that said, we've got it shared out to a bunch of these little business groups and including some local groups. So welcome everybody who's watching. Hi. And we're going to have a little bit of fun today.
Absolutely.
So today we're going to talk about not just green screen, because we've talked about green screen in the past, but today we're going to talk about green screen using virtual studios, which is kind of like the next step. We've talked about green screening a few times, but now whole new level with that green screening. So that's going to be our topic today. There it is. And so if everybody's ready, let's get the show on the road.
Hit it to Maestro.
In 5, 4, 3. On today's episode of Video Marketing Madness, we're going to talk about virtual studios and how you can use them. That's going to be a lot of fun. And speaking of fun, this episode is made possible by our good friends over at Email Spike. Well, once you create one of these lovely videos with the virtual studios, believe it or not, you can actually put that video in an email now. That's right. You can send out emails with videos embedded in them. And I do this all the time through Aweber. I had somebody I was talking to that was doing it. They were sneaking it into Gmail and sending out there. And I don't know how successful that was or not. I haven't really tried that, but that's kind of fun. But as far as me for marketing videos, yeah, we're slapping those videos in there and sending them out so that people can check them out. And it's a lot of fun, very effective. In the past, you know, we've used different tools that have put animated GIFs or maybe just a picture of a video that you click and go to the actual video. But this gives you the video in the email. And as long as they have a compatible email viewer, they'll be able to watch that video, which is really, really cool. So if you want to be able to do this yourself, get more clicks, more views, more everything, well, then head on over to raythevideoguy.com/email spike, and you'll be able to check it out right away.
I got a question, though.
Uh-oh.
Did you put email spike in your hair today?
No, I put, I don't know what kind of spike I put in my hair today, but man, it is kind of Spike City.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit that music. Maybe.
He's Ray the Video Guy, yeah, Ray the Video Guy. His skill is where it's at, even if he's a little fat. He's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the Video Guy, yeah, Ray the Video Guy.
And it is the radio show about video, the Radio Show about video marketing madness with Ray the Video Guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper. GoVMM is our landing page. You can find all the podcatchers and social medias there.
Yes, indeed. And do you see this down below, Steve? And for those of you who are listening, you may not see this, but first ever YouTube video was uploaded 15 years ago. I don't know what day that news article came out, but apparently it was 15 years
We're
ago,
here.
sometime pretty soon.
We're here at the zoo.
Yep, that would be the one. And apparently it was 15 years ago. Hard to believe it's only been 15 years, but then again, it's also hard to believe it's been 15 years. It's hard to imagine a world without things like Facebook and YouTube, but the reality is they weren't around 15 years ago, or just barely popping onto the scene. Hard to believe that we ever lived lives without them. It's kind of like cell phones. How did we live before them? How did realtors live before the cell phone? I don't know.
Well, good point. Yeah.
Crazy stuff. But, another thing, by the way, some exciting things coming on. So, we talked a while back about TikTok and of course, been following any of that. TikTok, which is from originally a Chinese company, and there was a lot of talk about how they were gathering data from Americans and from Europeans and whatnot, and TikTok potentially being blocked in the U.S. or being sold from the Chinese company for the local rights to it. And so we'll see if what ends up happening with that. But there is a new competitor to this that is directly from Instagram. It's called Instagram Reels, and a neat little software. It allows you to go in there, you record your video, you can set the speed, you can add music and do all that stuff just like you would in TikTok. And we'll see what happens if they really push forward with this and it works really well, with or without the government intervention. Maybe similar to some of the live streaming services, we may see them kind of crush TikTok and put them right out of the market. But who knows? We'll see. TikTok is very big, much bigger than, let's say, Periscope was when it kind of got crushed by Facebook. So might be a little tougher to do, but you never know. We will see what happens with that.
Does Periscope still exist?
It does. It's owned by Twitter now.
Yeah, I knew that.
So it's still around, but not. I don't know. I don't even know what the full status of it is these days, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So I just haven't kept up. It was the live video du jour site for quite a while, but
yeah, I can remember you doing a bunch of them. Like one time when you checked into a hotel room with the family, things like that. Yeah.
Yep, we did. Yeah. Oh, actually, I think that was on the boat, wasn't it? Was that on the ship?
Could have been. Yeah, could have been.
We had the Disney presidential suite on one of the Disney ships.
Ooh.
Very cool stuff. Very cool.
They must have known that. They must have known that you're Ray the video guy.
They must have.
Yeah.
And that was early in video streaming, so I know we streamed that, and it was a kind of a new thing, so that was fun. But yeah, so keep your eyes out on that. Instagram. The reason I know about Instagram Reels is, I kind of heard about it, but I've actually been going through a little training course on it, and very cool stuff. Something that we'll probably use here in the escape rooms. Kind of, do quick little videos with that. And probably a little more Instagram Live videos as well, just because we should. And more Facebook Live videos. Haven't done a ton of them. They do get a lot of attention, though.
So what's happened with TikTok? Was it sold then, or is it still in limbo, or what's going on?
I haven't followed the entire thing all that closely, to be perfectly honest. I know they had a date that they had to sell it by, and there was a couple of people looking to buy it. Oracle, I thought, was going to do that, and I'm not sure what's happened since then. If it's a done deal, if they're still working on it, I'm not sure.
I put in
look it
a
up
bid.
And see, but yeah, did you? Nice.
Yeah, $5.
I put in a bid for the UFC when they allowed that for sale too. Yeah. But
okay.
that didn't work out for me. So what are you going to do?
I'm surprised.
All right. So today's topic, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, is one that you may have seen me use many, many times. And currently I don't use it. And not because I don't want to, but because we've moved to the escape room and I haven't found a place to really put a green screen yet. So even though we have much more space than we did at the other one, it's all used up for other things. And so I don't really have an area that I've designated for a green screen. And quite honestly, my office is really could be a maintenance closet, I think, if it in a past life.
Not that you're high maintenance by any means.
No, well, yeah, but there is high maintenance that I deal with every day here. So,
I'm sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so this is a tiny room. So the green screen going in here probably not going to be possible. So we'll have to come up with something else. But I just haven't done that yet. So, but I have
What
built my
about that?
background, so.
What about that storage room in the back there? Couldn't you just have something portable back there?
Well, that's what I was thinking, but that's so full of my tools now and everything else that might make it a little tough. Plus, when you get in there, the main part of it has the furnace right there too, so it makes it tough tough to shoot in there, but also tough to set things up because of just kind of a pain in the neck. But we'll figure it out at some point. We do have a big front lobby, and we were thinking of putting a big green screen there, and then that way we can actually take pictures of guests on the green screen and do things with them and whatnot. And we'll have it, kind of like full roll up, so it's kind of like a pull down and then you roll it back up. I found really, really nice ones. They're expensive though, but we may get that and do it with that. Because during the day, I'm here by myself. I can turn that front room into a shooting studio whenever I want because nobody's here until 3, 4, 5 in the afternoon. So that's probably what we'll go. But besides that, doing green screen, one of my favorite things to do, even though it is a little more work than just shooting on a background like we have here. And of course, by the way, being in the escape rooms, I actually use those as sets, and I'll go in and I'll shoot inside the escape room. So I've got kind of a live place to do things. And we've done, like an alien lab video, and I've done a serial killer video for a product, and a haunted cabin one for another product. So there's a lot of different things we can do.
There are alien Labrador retrievers.
Yes, absolutely.
terrible.
In the back here,
bad.
ironically, one of the rooms that we created actually has a very bright green wall, which I probably could go in there and shoot on. And it's not green screen color, but pretty darn close. I should say it's not green screen paint, but it's pretty close to the color. Might be something we could try sometime and see if it works. I'm sure with a little bit of software help, it would work fine. The problem is going in there, moving things, setting up lights, doing it, and then having to put it all back. Pain in the butt. But we'll figure it out at some point. And, for those of you following, by the way, we just purchased another escape room in California. So now
you got that one. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. We have taken it over as of this week, and I've been working till 2 a.m. trying to get things rolling there. So a lot of fun.
A lot of Mountain Dew in the morning.
No, yeah, well, I don't really drink Mountain Dew, but yeah,
Oh, you don't?
No, I do drink lots of Pepsi, though. So that counts.
Pepsi Cola.
The choice of a new generation. All right.
Yes.
So with that, let's talk a little bit about virtual studios. Now, in its simplest form, many of the green screen things that we do could technically be called virtual studios. And we're talking about putting yourself on a green screen and putting a background behind you. Technically, that could be considered a virtual studio. However, what we're talking about here is full-blown virtual studios. And these are where you're on a green screen and you put stuff behind you, and then there's a desk in front of you, and the desk isn't really there, but it's in front of you, and you kind of, position yourself in between the desk and the background, and you've got a whole room that you're working with, and you probably have multiple angles of that room that you can work with. And, we've used that quite a bit, and we've had a lot of fun with that. And you can get as complex or as simple as you want. And there are even tools that will do it automatically for you that'll really use a virtual studio. So for instance, if you've ever heard of a company called NewTek, they used to create the video toaster, and now they have other tools that they create that are kind of studios in a box. And their TriCaster actually has virtual studios built into it. And so you can literally just walk into a set and it will do all the work for you. It'll put, you'd have to put a table in front of you with, green over the table so you can put things on the table. And it will actually turn you into somebody in a virtual studio with the backgrounds, with the table, the news desk in front of you, things in the windows. And when you move the camera, it will actually track with the camera so that, it moves in 3D space as well. Most virtual systems don't move in 3D space. You're actually just still shots. Now, you can have multiple angles and you can switch, but they're going to stay still most of the time. Now, in post, of course, you can mess with that, and we'll talk about that in a second. But so the way that typically I do my green screen studios or virtual studios is I shoot myself in front of the green screen. So either I'm sitting or I'm standing, and in front of the green screen, we shoot whatever we're going to shoot. We bring it back, we put it into, in my case, Final Cut Pro, but you could be using Adobe Premiere, you could be using ScreenFlow, you could be using Camtasia. Any of the softwares should for the most part, be able to do this for you. HitFilm is another great one that's completely free that will, has very high-end tools, so you'd be able to do that. So what we do is we put ourselves in front of that green screen, we get the shots, we bring it back into the editor, and we key out that green screen. Now, normally you might key it out with just an image or a video, and then you're done. Well, with a virtual studio, you've got a lot of interactive elements that you're going to put in there. Typically, the studio that I use is a background studio that has windows in it, and the windows are opaque, so you can kind of see through them for the most part. And what we do there is we then put another layer of what's outside the window. And typically I use, there's a cityscape that I think is kind of cool that I use there. So we now have in our video editor, we've got me. Behind me, we've got the green screen that we then put the background of the studio in, which has windows. And then on another layer, we put whatever we want to see in the windows. So it could be, like I said, cityscape, trees, lake, whatever you want, another video. Well, then we add a few more things to this. In between me and that background layer, we will typically put a screen. Now, I've got what looks like just a big TV monitor graphic, and that TV monitor also has green in it that we key out. So we've keyed out the background of me to put the backgrounds, and then in that TV that we pop up there, we key out the green and put another layer behind the TV that has whatever we want to show, so a graphic or a video. And so now we've got me standing in front of the background, what's going on outside, next to a monitor that has the video that we want to run in the monitor. Now, next step, we're going to add the desk that's in front of me. So another layer, this layer goes on top, and we're going to put a desk. The desk is going to sit in front of me, and so now you've got me looking like I'm behind this desk, okay? And so that's kind of how a green screen studio works, is you've got all these different layers that you put together in order to create the illusion that you're in a place that you're not. And if it's done right, it can look really, really good. And we've got a number of green screen studios that we've had created that we use for this particular purpose. There's one that I love. I call it, I think I just call it Brick Studio, because it's got brick walls and whatnot. And I love it. I use it all the time. Or at least when I had a green screen, I used it all the time. And typically, when you buy a package of green screen studios, virtual studios, you're going to get different angles. So for instance, in my brick one, which I had custom made, we have other angles from inside that studio. So for instance, if I'm sitting at the desk, to my left and to my right, you can't see it in most of the shots, but we have separate shots. There's brick walls on either side that also have monitors on the walls. So if we use one of those angles, I can be standing up next to a monitor in front of a brick wall. And in some shots, you can actually see those monitors. You know, if we've got a nice wide shot of the whole studio where you'd see me in the desk, but you'd also see those monitors on the side walls. And we can put, same thing, green is in those monitors. We green screen out those monitors as well, put video behind that, and so now you've got video going on all over the place. Let's take it another step. The desk that I sit at on that particular one, in front of the desk is another monitor that's colored green that we also key out the green, put another layer behind the desk, so in front of me, behind the desk, another video that can be playing. Typically, I'll put an animated loop on that. Now, that particular one in the one that I use, fortunately for editing purposes, you don't see it unless it's a really wide shot. Most of the time, you see the top of the desk and you see me. Now, once you have all of this, you're going to have this really good, convincing-looking green screen studio, assuming that you set everything up properly. You're going to need to adjust the size of the actor that's in between, because I've done some of these where it looks like, I'm a child sitting at a giant desk where the desk, comes up practically to my neck. Or other times where I look like a little tiny mouse, behind the desk. So you kind of have to adjust the size of the person in that shot to make sure that it looks realistic, that it looks like you're the proper size, that the desk is in front of you, just below chest level. All the things that you would see if it was a real desk. You want to just make sure that those things are adjusted properly. Now, there is one other thing that we like to do, and this is something that really takes this to a new level, and probably something most people are not going to go out of their way to do, but it can be done. It's a very effective illusion. So if I'm behind the desk, if I had a shiny desk, you're going to see a reflection of me on the desk if it was a real desk. So sometimes with the 3D studios, these virtual studios, you'll see the person behind the desk and you'll see they've got a shiny desk, but their reflection isn't in there. Okay? Or worse, you can see the reflection of the background on the desk because that's built into the when it was created, but you don't see yourself in there. And since you're not a vampire, assumingly, we need to adjust that a little bit. Now, ideally, you may want to just get a virtual studio where the desk is, made of wood or something where it doesn't have, it's not a shiny reflective surface. If it is, what we like to do is we will actually take the desktop and me, we'll bring them into another video timeline, and I will actually mask the desk. So I'll literally take the little pen tool and I'll draw around the desk, the top of the desk, that is, the part that's shiny. And then I'll take the video of me, which is sitting behind the desk. I will duplicate that because we want to keep the video of me in there because that's where you'll kind of see the sizing and the location. What I do is I take that extra layer where I've duplicated me, cut out of the green screen, and I rotate it so that it is another version of me pointing down. Okay, so if that makes sense, like you would see my head and shoulders and down to the chest, and then you would see the chest down to the head again. So I would be reflected on the second one. Now, sometimes I'll even distort that a little bit and maybe skew it to the side. And then what I do is with the mask that I created for the top of the desk, I put my reflection, the second me that's upside down, into that mask and mask that out as well and lay it on the desk. And then I'll actually bring down the opacity so it's kind of faint. And sometimes I'll even distort or blur it depending upon whether it makes sense to do that. And so now what we have is we've got a reflection of me on the desk. And that's a lot more convincing than, not having anything there at all or seeing the reflection of the background and the person not there. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sounds like a lot of work. Well, when we go that far, that can be a lot of work. And to be perfectly honest with you, if I'm making a quick review video of some product that's coming out tomorrow, probably not going to go all out and do these types of things. It's just, that's just too much for that. For a video that's going to be seen because there's a special running the next 3 days and then it's gone, probably doesn't make a lot of sense. When I'm doing videos for products that are going to be around forever, or it's a training, or an introduction to a membership, if I do that kind of thing for those, then I'll go out and do that because people are going to be seeing those for years, and we want to, we'll take the extra time and effort to make sure that those look good. But it's a very, very cool effect. It's a very, very cool illusion to be able to have yourself at the virtual desk. And when you do that, you don't have to worry about shooting at your own desk where it may be a mess. You may not have the right backgrounds. You just throw up a green screen yourself out of it, and then you've got this beautiful virtual studio that looks like it's $1 million. The studios that we have, some of those look really, really cool. They look like they are just real. And there are also plenty of locations where you can go where you can buy virtual sets. So even if you may not have one available, there are definitely places you can go to get the virtual sets. Some of those places, I believe, and I could be wrong here, I'd have to double check and see, but I'm pretty sure that on VideoHive there are some virtual studios in there. So if you're a VideoHive member or even Envato Elements, you may find some in there. But there are some other great places to do those things. So like virtualstudiosets.com is one that's around. I've bought some there in the past that I've used, and those can be really good. There's also Virtual Setworks, which is at virtualsetworks.com. Another good one that gives you a lot of really cool backgrounds. Let me try that again. CG4, the number 4, TV.com is another one that has virtual sets in there. And there are many, many more. You can go out and search on Google, and you're going to find all these different places that have these virtual sets. Some of them really, really good, and some of them you can get for a really good price. It's not, for beautifully 3D rendered sets, you might think, yeah, these are going to cost a fortune, but some of them are actually very, very good at a really good price. And actually, one other place where you can actually get some of these things is on eBay. eBay actually has for sale green screen virtual studios that you can pick up. And so you can get them there as well. And, the prices are not bad. You might be spending $100. There are some that are a lot more, but you could be spending $50, $100, $75 to get one. If they have some on Envato Elements, you can get it for the price of your subscription. If they've got some on Video Hive, you can get them for pretty cheap too. eBay, like I said, has some where you can get them for $30, $40, and they're pretty good. And there's other sites that I talked about, $50, $70. You can buy those in pieces as well. So if you find one that you like, but maybe you don't need all 10 angles, you can buy just the main angle and use that and get that for, I want to say probably like $40 or something like that, $49, $50. And like I said, I've purchased some of theirs before. They will come in package deals sometimes, so I think those maybe run $200 to $300 where you get all the different angles and you can do different things. But it's well worth it because of the illusion that you can make. But before you get into any of that, you do need to make sure that you're doing your green screen properly, because you're going to have a nice clean green screen in order to make the illusion look real. Otherwise, you're going to look like, those 1980s virtual sets on TV where you could see the green glow around the anchor and they always looked funny and whatnot. Nowadays, it can be very convincing, but you need to be able to do it properly. So you need to set up a good green screen. You need to set up good lighting, and then you'll be able to get a good shot. Steve, have you ever used a virtual studio?
No.
Well,
that's
something that we've got to get you into.
That's what you're there for.
Well, yeah, but I can't do it for you. You have to do it for yourself.
You know what my videos are that I produce?
Yes, I do.
There are a lot of screen capture videos, a ton of screen capture videos. Instant Spokesperson, I download those and put in the phone number, or I just have you do it for me,
Well, and I'm glad you brought up the Instant Spokesperson stuff, because that's something else that
You know what? I lied. I do use green screen because I'll download those and put some backgrounds in them.
Sure. And that's something I wanted to bring up is, you don't have to use a green screen. You don't have to shoot it yourself. You don't have to do, you on camera. You can get other people to do that for you. So if you wanted to have a newscast, you got a virtual set, all you need to do is go on to a place like Fiverr, find somebody that will do a green screen video. You probably get it for, $5 to $20. And they're going to go on there and they're going to do that read for you. And then you can add them to the virtual set. If you got Instant Spokesperson, most of them probably not done in a way that requires a full virtual set. A dentist talking about tooth whitening probably wouldn't make sense on a full-blown virtual 3D set. You'd want to see them just in a doctor's office or what have you. But, like I said, you go to Fiverr, you get somebody to shoot something custom that you need, put them into that virtual set, and you could have something really, really good. And those guys on Fiverr, they know what they're doing. They get themselves onto green screens really well. Make sure you take a look. There are some people that are just starting out and trying, and they're going to use a bed sheet that's green or whatever and not do the best job. So you want to check it out. But most of the people on there do a very good job. Their green screens are strong. You can go in, you can very quickly key out that green, put them into the virtual set, and then you can have a really professional video very quickly. So the next thing I want to ask is, why would you want to do this? Or when, I guess, might even be a better question. When would you want to do this?
Instant Spokesperson, I do it when I want, at the end where he's talking and it says contact us now. I don't want it to look like I just put some type in there. So I'll use the, I'll use it through and throughout too, not only the end, but throughout the whole thing. I just want it branded to the customer, and the green screen works good for that. But anyhow, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. And, that's what we want to hear is that kind of stuff. But, anytime you can use one, it's great. And by the way, when I say that about Instant Spokesperson, I'm mostly talking about, the full green screen setup that I'm talking about with, on a news set with a desk and, background videos and all that. I certainly use instant spokesperson videos for certain types of virtual studios. So for instance, like the dentist putting them into a fake dental lab, Another one would be like some of the office ones. I've put those on. I've had some great backgrounds of like an office setting with computers in the background, put them in there, and then the computers are green screened in the background, so we can put images and things in those different computers that are behind them. And then we do things like put text in a little board that's beside them and stuff. So that we definitely do some of those types of things. But as far as, sitting at a desk with all that, probably doesn't make sense for a lot of the instant spokesperson stuff, but you certainly can do that. So,
the other thing that I do quite a bit of is my clients will do advice videos.
Sure.
And, they just got their cell phone, they got their iPhone in front of them, and they, I kind of guide them on the lighting and how to use the iPhone and, what kind of microphone to use and stuff like that. And then they just shoot those and we upload them to YouTube and we put them on the website and, all that kind of stuff just to get that juice, get them transcribed, make it into a vlog, that type of thing. So yeah, I just don't have a lot of need for that. I mean, a lawyer sitting in his office is a lawyer sitting in his office, but when I have used instant spokesperson, and I know it's not just about me, but when I have used it and I want to brand it to the customer, that's a great way to do it, is the green screen videos. And I can buy backgrounds, put them in Photoshop, do things, So.
Yeah. And when you're talking about the things like you said there with like, reading the mailbags type stuff, if you're doing some sort of show with them where they're doing advice videos, well, then it probably can make sense to have them in a virtual set, like a sitting at a virtual desk and all of that kind of stuff, because it's a different purpose, and it kind of makes sense. If they were going to do, if the dentist was going to do a dentist TV show and whatnot, they'd probably be sitting at a desk or, maybe sitting in a chair, fluffy chair or something like that. But it's going to have that set, and you can build that, for that purpose. And there's kind of a hybrid thing in the middle of that too, by the way, where one of the things that we did, which, ironically dentist, because we did a dentist TV show. It was for a very well-known dentist out in Virginia who teaches other dentists how to do marketing. So we did a 30-episode TV show, weekly TV show with him. And what we did was we had the full green screen that came down onto the floor and everything else. And we put actual furniture on that green screen. So he was sitting in a chair and had a table next to him that was on a green screen that went onto the floor, shot all of that, and then added the backgrounds and the flooring and all that kind of stuff afterwards. And that worked out really well. So there's that option as well to do kind of a hybrid green screen studio sort of deal. And this is becoming bigger and as time goes on, as technology improves, this is becoming more and more prominent. A lot of news shows, a lot of, those things are done with virtual studios. Right. And even a lot of other shows are starting to augment their productions with, I don't know if it counts really as a 3D studio per se, but some sort of augmented reality. So, for instance, on sports shows, you might see football, and you might see, the stadium, and then you see like the big jumbotron come down, but it's not really a jumbotron. It's just a 3D graphic in 3D space that's layered on top of that looks like it's a real physical object in there, which is always really cool. And so that kind of falls into the same category, because even though they're not green screening the game, they are adding those extra layers of virtual reality to that and bringing that in there. So that can be, a great way to really augment what you're doing, is to, even if you're shooting in a non-virtual location, adding some of those other things. Maybe a screen that comes down. So we've done that before, where the person is, sitting in a chair, and it's a real chair in a real place, in a real background. But when they talk about things, a monitor comes down to the side of them and has information on it, and the monitor is not real. The monitor is just a graphic. So we've done that before, and that can work really well.
Well, you know, and you can tell sometimes, too, when on the football broadcast, like at halftime, they're in the press box. You can sort of tell when it's a green screen, you know, and they do that quite a bit. I took a tour of Channel 3 here in Omaha years ago when they first built their new TV studio. They built in the late 70s. This was probably the early 80s. And they had a big sound stage in the back of it. Mm-hmm. And then I also worked for a radio station here, you know, just Sunday mornings, just for fun, that was owned by a group. And then they bought Channel 3. So what they did is put the radio stations in the old sound stage. They just, you know, totally gutted and built the radio stations there. And there's not even a second story. There's a lot of room above it. But so they you know, a buddy of mine that still works there said, hey, you want a tour? Yeah. So I went in and I toured the radio stations. And I remember what the old studio for the news on Channel 3 looked like. And I walked in there and I'm like, what is this? And they said, oh, we use that's a virtual background. It's all virtual background. And and I mean, you know how they used to spend, you know, thousands upon thousands of dollars designing sets and everything? No more. It's virtual backgrounds, at least in Channel 3.
Yeah, a lot of places have done that, and there's a few reasons for that. So when I worked at Channel 12, we still had real studios. We did have some virtual stuff for the weathermen, but and I'm not sure what they do now, but I know with the advent of HD and now 4K, the problem with building sets is now you have to build real sets. Because before, the quality of video was low enough that you could build, you know, cheapy sets and they just looked good because you couldn't tell that they were made of garbage materials. Well, now, I mean, you can see the details and the wood grain and, you know, everything else. So if you're going to build a set, you have to build a much higher quality set, or you can just go virtual.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
And so a lot of people just go virtual with that. And I don't know what the percentage is. I'd love to find out, but it'd be interesting to know if you know, our old place has gone virtual at all with that. But we're in the same thing. Yeah, our news studio, we didn't have a big sound stage anymore. You know, it was all filled with like salespeople now and things because it was just unnecessary. They had the main set. That was about it. And that was a good sized room. Now, when I lived in the Salt Lake City area, I went to their Channel 3, and I was shocked at how tiny their studio was. Very different. They actually, when you walked into first of all, they're like literally downtown. When I worked at Channel 12, we were not in the city. We were in a nice campus in a smaller suburb, you know. At Channel 3, they're right in the center of Salt Lake City in one of the big tall buildings there. They're on the bottom floor. And when you walk in the door, the studio is right there. And it's right against the windows going outside. So when they shoot things, they, you know, kind of like the Today Show, you used to see people peeking in the windows and stuff. That's what they had going on there. And when I tell you this was not a studio, I mean, it was like they had to position cameras creatively because there was giant posts in the way, you know, on the bottom floor there, and they just kind of pigeonholed this little studio in there. It looked good on camera, but yeah, it was not a real studio by any stretch. So,
well, you know, when I asked him, I know the reason because it was a big soundstage. I asked him, and I knew that the soundstage was to shoot commercials.
Sure,
you know,
that's
not
what ours was for as well.
Yeah, yeah. And so I said, well, how do you do commercial production anymore? And I said, we really don't have to because, you know, at one time there were maybe 5 places in town. Now anybody can do it. You know, I mean, you know, you could go to Ray the Video Guy, well, at least when you're up in Snellville, and you could shoot a commercial there and it'd be fine, you know. And so,
well, and honestly, most of the times nowadays, they're just shot on site. So if you know, Don's Dog Service wants to do a TV commercial, you just go to Don's Dog Service and you do it. Mm-hmm. You shoot it right there. You don't need a big sound stage and all that. Equipment has become so portable and small. And I mean, honestly, a lot of people don't want to admit it, but a lot of these things nowadays are shot on iPhones.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I assume other smartphones too, but you always hear about the iPhones doing them.
And they told me a dirty little secret. They say, many cases we're just sending out our reporters with iPhones.
That's totally true.
With the kind of setup that you have, with you put in the iPhone, you plug in the mic, you got a light on top of it. Yep. It's all kind of self-contained, and it's just the reporter, and they can see themselves on the iPhone, and they got a nice microphone, handheld mic. But yeah.
Yep. Yeah, boy, we've gone way off topic here, but still makes sense.
Studio.
It makes the thing is you can do that, and you can do virtual studios with that. But speaking of the iPhones, like they just announced the new version, the iPhone 12, this week, and it was it wasn't all about. There was huge chunks of it that were about video capabilities, much more so even than the actual phone purposes of it. If you think about an iPhone, and even with Android phones, the phone part of it is what 20%, 10% of what you use it for, because you're using it for shooting videos, and you're using it for shooting pictures, and you're using it as your iPad, and you're using it as your game station, and you're using it as your podcast listening, music listening, web browsing, all that kind of stuff. So it's just amazing to me. But they dedicated a big section of their reveal to video. In fact, they now do Dolby. I forget exactly what they call it. It's Dolby HDR video, which is a super high end video capturing system for like films and things, and you can now do it in your iPhone.
My goodness,
it's ridiculous.
Wow.
You're going to use up a lot of space doing that, so that's going to be a tough thing. You better get a lot of space if you're going to do it. But you're talking about a super high quality video recording at that point in time if you're using the Dolby image processing there. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And all of it done, right from in your pocket. That's why years ago I came up with that Pocket Video Pro, because you can do shooting, you can do green screening, you can do all of that stuff just with your phone. Different world.
Amazing. It sure is.
So, all right, since we've strayed off topic and everything, let's wrap it back around and talk about the green screening here for one more second, and then we'll get everybody out of here. So the bottom line is, it is easier than ever to do green screen. You can do it with your phone. You can do it with, pretty much any camera. As I tell people all the time, your smartphone is going to give you better quality video than you could have gotten, in the year 2000. It's just true. Mm-hmm. So in all these years, you've gone way beyond. I remember, 1995, 1996, all the way to 2000. We were shooting with standard definition cameras, digital at that point, but standard definition cameras, not even HD. And now you got smartphones that'll shoot your videos in 4K. Mm-hmm. And I don't care how bad your smartphone is, you're going to do decent quality 4K video is going to blow away standard definition video any day of the week and twice on Sunday. It's just reality. If you had the best cameras in the world shooting SD video, you're probably going to get a much nicer result from a nice widescreen 4K iPhone or Android phone any day of the week. It's just reality. So you've got what you need to do that. And they will do green screening better than most of those old cameras. One of the problems, SD cameras, you go back to 1996, grab even a full-sized DV tape camera or whatever, you shot somebody on a green screen, good luck doing that green screen. It's almost impossible. It's not going to be good. You'll be able to do it, but it's going to, I can't even describe how bad it is. It starts to look all blocky and very, very weird. The stuff you can do with these things is amazing. And the ability to do green screening these days, anybody can do it. Even a couple of years ago, it was still really difficult to do green screening. But now, it's not an issue. When I was, like I said, I don't have a green screen set up here anymore, unfortunately. But in my other office, we had that whole wall that was painted green. When I shot a green screen video, I shot it, I brought it in, I clicked one button, and boom, it was pretty much done. I didn't have to do any work to get a nice clean screen out of that. It just did it. And when you can do that, anybody can get that done. And once you understand how to do that, all it is a matter of getting those virtual sets and realizing, for those of you who are old enough, you're just playing with color forms.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. You're playing with color forms. You're putting a background, you're putting a person in there, you're putting all the different pieces in there to create a new scene. And for you younger people, if you don't know what color forms are, go look it up. It is the exact same concept in video form. And it can be fun to do, too, so you can really enjoy it.
Well, good stuff.
Yeah. Fun stuff. We love
fun stuff. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good times. Good times.
Good times. Corn chowder.
Yes. Sweaty balls.
Sweaty balls. Here's my recipe for corn chowder and Bill Sweaty's balls.
All right, with that, let's get ourselves out of here. But before we do, we need to make mention of our good friends over at Email Spike, who allow you to now put your awesome videos into emails. So nowadays, you can take an email, put it into Email Spike, put the code into your email, and boom, you've got an email with a video that plays right there inside that email, assuming they have an email reader that'll allow video, but many of them do. And you will have video in there so that you can get more conversions, get more information out there. And believe me, boy, oh boy, people do pay attention, because the other day I got 2 phone calls from people who got one of my emails and were like, how'd you put the video in there? I'm like, haven't you been paying attention? I'm talking about it everywhere. But so we shared with them exactly how we did it. But it is cool. It is different. People like it. And, you will see more people interacting with your stuff if you use Email Spike. How do you get started with that? Well, head on over to raythevideoguy.com/email spike. And you'll be able to check it out and see all of our great bonuses if you decide to pick it up. But it's a very cool program. Works really, really well. Is easy to do. And I should mention, if for whatever reason your people reading your emails, some of them don't have a client that will play video, it plays a backup animated GIF. So GIF, sorry guys, animated GIF, GIF.
It's GIF.
It's GIF now. Yes, I've been told by the straight from the creator's mouth that it is pronounced GIF. So
like the peanut butter.
Exactly, just with a different letter. But yes, It will create an animated GIF as a placeholder so that people will still see a little bit of that video that was in there. They have to click on it and go to the page to see the video. But in the past, you had to pay just for that, and that was really cool. But now that's just the backup for having real video in there. So very, very cool stuff. And I've used it in almost all my emails since the day I got it. There are a few that don't have it in there because I don't need video in there. But for the most part, I've put it into all my emails because it is that cool and that effective. So check it out, raythevideoguy.com/email spike. And with that, we're going to hit our funky music and get out of here for another week. See you next time.
Bye. Video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy. His skill is where it's at. Even if he's a little fat, he's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy.